Wabarakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As you can see, this is Uhud, Mount Uhud in the background, and this is obviously the place where the famous battle of Uhud took place, where the Muslims actually defeated the second battle of the Muslims. And if you can see this part, which is actually fenced off, this is where some of the martyrs are, some of the Sahaba, including Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As you can see, they've actually built a nice masjid here as well, where people, when they're visiting here, they can actually pray there as well when it's time to pray. But the significant thing here is that some of the martyrs are here, and we can actually come make dua for them, and also, subhanAllah, come and reflect on the grave. When we actually see the graves, we can actually reflect on our position, because subhanAllah, soon we will also enter the grave. And if you can see, this is another famous or infamous mountain, if you like, where the companions of the Prophet were asked to stay here, and this is where the archers were, and they were asked to stay here, and they didn't remain on the mountain. And subhanAllah, this is the famous part where Khalid bin Walid came around the mountain. He actually came around the back of this mountain and managed to basically pin the Muslims into a corner, basically. And this is when the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman, and some of the other Sahaba, they went into Uhud, and they were very injured as well. The Prophet ﷺ suffered a broken tooth and even scars on his head, and subhanAllah, it's a very sad time, subhanAllah. And even it's reported that Mount Uhud was shaking, subhanAllah. It was shaking because it was upset about what was happening to the Muslims, and the Prophet said to the mountain to stop shaking, because there's a Prophet on the mountain, and Siddiq, meaning Abu Bakr, and the two martyrs, meaning Umar and Uthman, because obviously, subhanAllah, he knew that they would die martyrs, subhanAllah. So this is a very significant area, and this is one area where many of the pilgrims, after performing the Umrah or the Hajj, they will make their way to Medina and visit some of the historical sites like this one, to remember the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ and the lessons that come from that as well, subhanAllah. So may Allah allow us to benefit from the Quran and the Hadith and the seerah, so that we can actually implement these lessons within our lives, and understand that when we go through tests, even tests where we feel physical pain and suffering, subhanAllah, when we look at the Muslims around the world today, such as the Muslims in Burma, subhanAllah, they're going through persecution and pain and suffering, and subhanAllah, they can know that our Prophet knew what they was going through, and we have to try our best to help them and make a lot of dua, and remember the Muslim Ummah, subhanAllah. So there's so many lessons here as well, subhanAllah. So make sure you try and get down here if you visit Medina.